You're listening to Operation Self Reset with Jake Naraki. What is going on, you freaking awesome people? Welcome back to Operation Self Reset. My name is Jake Naraki. Welcome. Thank you for joining this awesome podcast. It's about personal development, helping you become a little bit better. As you can tell, there are a lot of podcasts out there. Hopefully this one resonates with you and assists you in your own personal journey. So today we're going to be talking about asking for help. Now, asking for help is one of those ideas that maybe isn't the most attractive or sexy in the world of personal development. It isn't much of attraction for even people in business. We really don't want to say that we are creatures of asking for help. It may make us feel weak. It may make us feel not educated or not smart, not thrifty, may take away from your street smarts approach. But in reality, asking for help is one of the most powerful things that you can do to get yourself on the right path, but yet is the almost like the last thing that you do when things are going down the tubes. Isn't it funny when the only time we feel comfortable asking for help is truly when we are in an emergency, when there's a panic situation. I remember fondly of myself as a young man. I was taking a couple of ladies on a boat in Lake Michigan. I live here in the Midwest, and our boat was older. Our boat had some issues. It smelled like gasoline on a regular basis. But one day, it was a beautiful day. I was out in kind of the channel, the main kind of area where a lot of boats were cruising past. And our boat stopped working. What happened was we hit a good wave, and the connection from the battery, the terminals between the battery and the wires, it didn't disconnect, but they weren't as connected as they could have been, I guess. And the boat literally shut down. And of course, I played it cool for a while, and of course, I thought of doing different ideas, and of course, I literally put on a life jacket and jumped into the water with a rope connected to the boat and decided to swim the boat in, which was a really horrible idea. Having girls on the boat, having another guy on the boat, and that guy didn't want to jump in the water. I was really pulling literally dead weight. And so I got back in the boat and I pulled out an emergency can. I felt really embarrassed to use it, but I used a couple of our emergency flares. I used an upside down exclamation mark, basically a poster or flag, which is the international sign of emergency help, what have you. And because I did that, guess what happened? Somebody came by, they helped us out, they dragged us back to our dock, and everything worked out. Now, again, that wasn't a panic situation. Nobody was going to die because our boat didn't start. We were actually in a good spot. There was a lot of boat traffic. It was a beautiful day. We had water with us. There was no impending doom. Everything was a-okay. Now, obviously, I tried everything I could besides for asking for help, and I think that is a good story to represent us. Chances are you work in a decent job, you have a decent family life, everything in your life is just good. But to get to great, you have to ask for help. You have to go beyond the barrier, beyond the call of duty. And it's really hard to do because as a solopreneur or an individual that's trying to seek their own guidance, you will do everything in your power to get it done by yourself without seeking assistance from anybody else. And I get it. You don't want to ask for help because you don't want to waste somebody else's time. You don't want to feel like you owe anybody anything. You want to be kind of that pioneer and do it by yourself and be that individual who succeeded on their own through adversity and all that stuff, quote unquote successful story. But in the end of the day, it's really all BS. It really doesn't matter because if you choose to go through a path of massive amount of resistance, but yet I choose to go through the path of least resistance, who's going to get to the end goal? The person with the path of least resistance. It's easy to say, but it's not easy to do. I get it. I've been there. I've been a macho man. I've been a scaredy cat. I've been a worrier. I've been every type of quote unquote ideal when it comes to being an American man in today's society, and I would rather choose the idea of not asking instead of asking. And as you can tell through this conversation that I'm having with you, I'm really trying to identify with you and to build rapport with you, to make you realize that who you are, you choose not to ask people for help. And so I actually looked up, why is it that we have issues asking for help? And here are 11 reasons why. Number one, I don't want to be the burden on them. So basically, I don't want to bother other people, which is true, and I think I'm relatable to that. I want you to also ask freely with the following questions here to see if they assist you and also kind of relate to you. The second is, if I ask for help, I'm being selfish. Possibly. Number three, if I feel obligated to help them in return. That's a big one. I've thought of that. Four, I'm not that important. Possibly, right? Why should I go ask them? They don't even know who I am. That's a possibility. Five, I don't want people to know how bad it is. Okay. Six, I feel they have better things to do than to help me. Seven, I don't want to come across that I can't handle the problem X, Y, or Z. 8, I don't want to appear weak. 9, I don't want to be perceived as failing. 10, I don't have the time or find time to ask for help. And 11, it won't be done that way. I want it to be done my way, and I'll have to redo it if I ask for somebody else's help that I might not agree with. And there's a couple in there that are pretty pertinent and hopefully pertinent to you too. I think the biggest one is number 9, I don't want to be perceived as failing. And then number 10, which is I don't have the time to look for help. And I think those are big ones. And the funny thing is with number 10, the I don't have time to look for help, when you ask any person that you haven't seen in a while, how's it going, how you been, what's new, all that stuff, what is their number one response? Busy. I've been busy. Oh my gosh. My life is busy, right? Don't you say that too? I mean, I have 3 kids, and truly I would say that my life is very busy. But I remember as a single man that lived in a house by myself, I was busy. I remember as a little boy in my home with my 2 other siblings, I was busy. I was busy all my life. And I can say, probably to you too, you have at least said, I have been busy or busy. Things are crazy. They're nuts. They're out of control. Oh, where has my time gone? All those different ideas. And the busy sense is to prove to other people that you have things going on. It's more of a comfort than actual truth. You basically say to people, I'm busy, so then it shows to them that, whoa, you got things going on, or you're really doing things and all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, it also represents that you're choosing to put your time elsewhere than where it could be. And so it's an idea of to make a realization to you, how busy are you really? And what it is that you're going after, is it worth asking other people for help? That's the biggest obligation. It isn't that you can't ask for help. It isn't that you don't know how to ask for help. It isn't really even the case of who do you ask for help. It's really the burden of should I, or am I able to, or what am I really thinking is the main problem here? Now, for me, I have a big exam coming up, and I need the assistance of other people to assist me, to help me, to sit down with me. And I know that, and I need that. And because of that, I have to go and ask people. The same with starting a business. Yes, you can figure it out by yourself, but isn't it so much easier to ask for help? Yes, you could go on YouTube and you could figure out how to do plumbing projects, but if your brother or sister or close friend is a plumber, wouldn't it be easier just to ask for help? And all those easy examples are yes, of course, ask for help. It's going to streamline the approach. But why is it that when you think something's more complex, You put up the barriers, you put up the walls, you think I'm not important, you think I don't have time, you think it's going to be perceived as failing, they're going to think I'm an idiot, they're not as, I'm going to reflect in their minds that I'm not as smart as they thought I was, what have you. If there is something in life that you truly want to go after, you have to ask for help. There is no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Truly, you need to. My wife and I embarked on a new business plan. The business did not succeed at all. We pivoted. You can consider that a failing moment if you want. I consider it a pivotal moment in our life. It went from game plan A to game plan C. It still worked out. We're still doing good. I don't need to get into details of that, but I'm just sharing with you. And through that process of building this business with my wife, there was a lot of questions that I did not know. There was a lot of procedures and ideas in governmental foundations and frameworks and regulations that I had no idea how to embark on. So the first thing I did was I asked for help. I got help. I had to pay for that help, but the help came through and it worked out for me. The second thing that I did on a regular basis is that if I didn't know an answer or how to fill out the form or the paperwork, I didn't sit there and go, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. I gotta search online or research online." I literally picked up the phone and I called my coach, the person that assisted me, and if they didn't know, I called the state. I called different agencies. I called people that would know the answer. And did I sound goofy? Yes. Did I sound like I didn't know what I was doing? Yes. Did I lean on them a little bit more than I should have? Yes. Did it perceive me as an individual that should not be in that type of business? Possibly. But for me, I was so used to asking that it didn't bother me. I would rather ask and get the question that much sooner than to be twiddling my thumbs or hemming and hawing or waiting for a response from somebody over the course of days, weeks, and I needed to get the answer right away so I could submit the stuff on a timely basis. For me, that really helped. But to give you the other flip of the coin, my wife is not that way. She is an educated woman who likes to go through the correct chain of command. She likes to do her own research. She likes to figure it out on her own. She doesn't want to be perceived as silly or not educated. And so for her, it was like panic time when I would just pick up the phone and start calling people randomly because I wanted to know the answer. But it was funny because even though she was mad at me for asking the question and calling people, but who was the first person right next to me going, "Well, what did they say? Well, what should we do? How do we fill this out?" She was, because she understood the power of asking the question. And isn't it interesting when you find the answer to something and other people know that you have the answer, they would rather ask you instead of go to the original source, right? Because they know that you already have the answer. And so they would rather talk to you. But now you're like, "Well, I'm not going to give you the answer. I had to ask 10 people to get to that position. Why am I asking you?" And it's just an interesting dilemma. So the power and the long-winded presentation of this topic is to get out of your own way, to take a deep breath, to embrace the suck and ask the question. Just ask it. Yes, you may sound dumb, not educated. You might think that you're failing or people are going to consider you as a loser and the biggest things. I mean, think of the worst case scenario. What are they going to consider you as because of this? To think of the worst word, a nincompoop, I don't know. That is not going to be as bad as if you take no action and don't know the answer, right? I remember I was at a seminar one time, and an individual said he was trying to proclaim on stage that he was wealthy, and he had I think like $200 in single dollar bills, and he goes, "If I was to throw this money up in the air and it was to land on the ground, what would you guys do?" And all these hands came up. They're like, "Oh, run and grab it." And so he threw up the money up in the air, and it landed on the ground. And guess what? Nobody got up and grabbed the money. Even though everybody pretty much who initially raised their hand said, "I would run up and get the money." But when it took time for actual physical action, everybody stood still until he made it known, like, hey, there's money on the ground, get up, take action. And then everybody swarmed like, crazy people trying to grab dollar bills. And so it's a relation and an idea to you that you understand how important it is to ask the question, but why aren't you asking the questions? Why aren't you making the connections? Why aren't you reaching out to people? Are you going to find resistance? Yes. Is every door going to open? No. Are people going to be happy that you interrupted their day? No. But I'm telling you, there are going to be times where you're going to be glad that you asked the question. And even though it may be that much of an inconvenience for that person, you got to remember that chances are the way that they got to where they are that day is because they asked the same questions that you did. And because they forgot where they came from, you're in the process of figuring it out. So get past all the barriers, all the name calling, all the ways that you think that they perceive you. Get out of your own way. Go ask the questions. I think there's not much more I can really say than that. Go ask for help. Go ask the questions. If you don't know where to start, start by asking somebody the question of where you should start. And then that starts the chain of events of asking the right questions. If you don't know where to start, start by asking the questions. If you don't even know what to ask, sit down and figure out what you need to ask and then ask somebody those questions. So there you go. There's your quick roadmap to your ultimate success. Asking the question has been around for a long time. That's how people got into positions where they are today. That's how people created unbelievable, monumental objects that you and I use on a regular basis. That's how Elon Musk is trying to figure out how to get to Mars. He's asking questions. It's the same way Ernest Shackleton, in his epic journey to the South Pole, tried to conquer the South Pole in his journey, but it didn't work out. He asked questions to people to give him the right resources, right ideas to hopefully succeed. It didn't. But as you can see, every monumental moment in our history was all based on questions. The more questions you ask, the better informed you will become. The more informed, the better questions. The better questions equals better results. Boom, drop the mic. I don't know what else I can say. That's some free information for your noggin. Go out there, use it, put it into motion. And if you have any questions for me, ask me, Jake at OperationSelfReset.com, and hopefully I can assist you. And if I can't assist you, I can at least point you in the right direction, or at least tell you to ask a better question to get a better result. So with that being said, I think I've drained it all here on asking questions. Go out there, be freaking awesome. I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. You need anything? Ask me anything. Jake at OperationSelfReset.com. We'll talk to you guys later. I greatly appreciate your love and support. We'll see you next week, Wednesday, for another great episode of Operation Self Reset. See ya.